Hey world, this is Nina Lava, and I'm here today to talk about what it means to be a female musician in 2018, and also what it means to be a female in the hip hop underground. And I'm just going to talk about that because I've given this a lot of thought over the years, and I think that people need to hear from an actual woman in the underground what that's like and what that means. I started making music in 2014. I've been writing poetry all my life, but at that point I thought, I've been into music all my life. I've gone to all these basement shows over the years. I'm from Boston. I've gone to bigger acts and bigger music acts, and music has always been a big part of my life. So fuck it, I'm gonna start making music too. I feel like when I was really young, I always ended up being in a role where I was surrounded by a bunch of guys who made music and specifically were in bands, or I was the girl dating the guy in the band, but it was always this more passive, sort of submissive role of you don't get to be the director, or you don't get to actually be the creator of music or art. You just kind of have to like sit back and watch as guys make music. And I think if you're a male, it's sort of hard to hear that for a lot of people because there are guys who want to live in this illusion that, that's not the case and that it's all love. But the reality is being a strong female, specifically a feminist, or a straight feminist in this case, straight white feminist, if you really want to like get down to the demographics, it's not really a fun, easy role to step into in the field of hip hop. And I think that you have to have a thick skin. And if you don't, good luck. When I first started making music, I don't have a lot of money, so I didn't have a ton of equipment. I didn't have Ableton. I didn't even have a microphone. I didn't have shit. I had this crappy video program, not even iMovie or anything. And I just did everything, I just created, every day, every week. And it wasn't necessarily the highest quality, but it was original, and I'm confident in it to this day. And there are people who were then, not many, and that remain. And obviously you evolve as an artist over the years, but, I remember thinking, I know dozens of guys who are in, pseudo-crappy bands, that aren't that together and as organized as me or don't produce as much work, that are just getting away with whatever, are getting away with, crap. Just go to find a couch on the side of the road, sit on it, put it online, and hundreds of people like it, and their music's it sounds like a lot of other bands, not to be too judgy. But if you're a female and you do that, good luck. Nobody cares. The first 2 years of me making music, even though it was sort of even for 2014, it was weird. It was kind of out there. It was just had some punches. People didn't care. They really didn't. And that's the reality. And people don't want to talk about this. They don't want to look at it. And they don't want to see that sexism in music industry plays a part in this. And the fact that it's mainly just all dudes. I make rap, and it's mainly just all dudes. Or the other thing is there are female rappers or hip hop acts or just musicians, even if that's not their genre or one of the genres they make, who just have to fill this category of naked in the bathtub, or here's my booty, or big lips, big tits, beautiful pink hat, filters, all this shit, and do your thing. It's totally fine if that's your thing. It's chill if that, if you're just all about the chokers and nudity and that's fine. Do you? But I can't help but be is this just a tactic that women have had to fall into so that they get any attention at all, or so they get any validity or anything from the music industry or from males or from just the masses and people out there waiting? Because at least in the United States, people are used to the female body just being objectified and just like these gray areas of like, did she really want to do that, or did she kind of like do that because she knew it would get her attention because she's just at a disadvantage, you know, when it comes to just like being a minority in a big music industry made of predominantly of males. And, you know, I kind of just wonder sometimes about these things. And, you know, I'm wearing my Gemini alter ego wig today, the lipstick, the whole thing, because I just want to, this is part of my act a little bit, but it's also just like it's the Gemini twin in me, and it's also this darker side that sort of wants to make a statement that necessarily isn't how I usually present myself, because it, you know, it's just emphasizing the body and beauty and materialism and just like, here I am, you know, like, because you know, I don't necessarily know if the world is ready for a strong feminist rapper. Maybe it is. I think some people are. But I still think that even females who make music or in the underground are just like thirsty. A lot of them are just like, retweet, do this, please, or just are kind of like more ordering people around. And, you know, and if you collaborate with guys, they kind of like either have to be the expert or like just send you stuff, but they don't want as much for me to make something and then they rap over it or they do something with it. And there's a small, you know, there's some guys who like will do that and are down to do that, but you know, I think that you have to, if you're female making music, there's always these like niches where you have to be this way so you actually, you know, get any support or validity or whatever. And that's like bullshit. Like you should make whatever kind of art you want. You don't have to be like nude in a bathtub, like, ooh, sexy, you know, like, oh my gosh. Like you should just fucking be who you are. No apologies. Fuck all the sexism. You know, and I'm kind of rambling, but it's weird to be on camera like this too and see my face. I think when I started making music, people were not ready. I remember people like even to my face would just be like, still rapping? Do you make rap? Like you do that? And I'd always think that in itself was so shitty in so many ways because I'm a writer and I've been writing poetry all my life. So honestly, if you write poetry and you're already a very animated, goofy, performance-y type person, it kind of makes sense that you should just one day, even, you know, also because you're really into music, are just like, I'm going to start making this, I'm going to do this. I honestly think that if I were a dude, if I were like a straight white male and I just were like, I make rap now, no one would question it. No one would give me shit. And the people who do kind of like would eventually get over it and like expect me to accept them liking it. But just as a female, it's like, not only did dudes not support me, but even female artists would support me. Or female artists would support me, but like use me. Or be like, you can do this now. And I'd be like, I didn't come up with that. Or like, have you made any art? Or is it just like taking me in so that you can have some social rise thing? And again, I'm a female, so I don't know how much of this goes on with guys as well, but I feel like a lot of this is just like being female and the world being like, whatever, you don't really like matter as much, and like, stop. I remember when I was in middle school, all I would listen to was rap and hip hop, and at that time it was like basically the golden age of hip hop. You know, this is like, you know, 9/11 happened when I was in 7th grade, you know? So for me, I remember so much of that music and so much of that hip hop. And the only real opportunity for a strong, like a female at that time to be in that seemed to be like the video vixen role. Like you'd be the video vixen. You'd just look hot and sexy and just kind of like shake your ass and, you know, hopefully maybe if you date some dude, or hopefully if that pops off and you're like the best, maybe you can have your own thing. And, like, I come from a background of, like, indie, emo, shoegaze, post-rock kind of music. Like, just super white kid shit, like, basement shows, PBR, like, East Coast, just, like, you walk down the street and there's 5 parties and all of them have some sort of, like, shitty band of all white dudes. And I point that out because that's what it fucking is. At least to me. I wouldn't go to those and be like, oh, wow, cool, an all-female band. Look at these badass chicks. It's just, like, always the dudes. And then there's always, like, a girl around somewhere dressed up really cool, looking hot, looking like the it girl who's, like, dating the lead guitarist. And these are important things to point out because they're like, all ways that the patriarchy and that how the United States is right now, even also politically, just affects females artists and musicians, or potential artists and musicians who maybe could be doing that and pursuing that but aren't, because it's just like it's like more dudes. And, like, you know, I even think about the rappers that I love, and it's like all guys, because there's just like not that, you know, there's not as many. And I think we're seeing hip-hop and rap change and evolve and make more space for that and have more space for that. But in the time being, I'm still living in a time as an artist where, okay, like, take social media. If I go onto, like, Twitter, for an example, and I'm doing this, and basically, like, hey, dudes didn't support me in 2014, or, like, these people from the underground and, like, back in 2014 and 15, like, didn't give a shit about me. If I say that, what's going to happen is a bunch of dudes are just going to say, oh, those people probably didn't like your music. But it's a double standard, because if I were a dude, they'd probably just be like, maybe the same thing, but if I were a dude, they'd probably just be like, not say anything. Not say anything. Nope, not cause any beef, because I'm just like a dude being like, ugh. And it's some other, you know, dudes being like, ugh. But if you're female, there's always that room for males to be like, because there is that socialization that females just don't really count as much in music and in art. Like, we just kind of, like, have to look pretty, or have to just be quiet, or just do the vocals. Like, I date that guy, and I just did vocals on that one track, and then he fought with his friends to even get me on that one track for like 45 seconds. I mean, these are things that I've actually heard from people that are real. I mean, we literally have, in hip-hop and rap, we literally have, like, criminals and rappers that do things to underage girls and do things that aren't consensual to grown-ass women that still are rich, still are touring, still have audiences, still have a voice, and still get to create. And that little pocket within itself, I think, says something a lot about, like, how the music industry still has a long way to go with embracing, like, a healthy vision and attitude toward women. And there's a lot of people out there who are like, shut up, like, I don't even know who you are, girl, never heard of your name, don't care, haven't listened to your music, but it's all love. It's all love. Hey, hold on, girl. Your attitude needs to take it down. Like, you have too much of an ego. You need to bring your ego down. And then I, like, go, well, you know, I've literally, people on Twitter have said this shit to me after I do, like, nothing mean. And I'm just like, these dudes in the underground just, like, didn't care and are sexist. And then you get bullied, you know, and then people reach out to you and just, like, throw things at you and are like, you're this, you're that, da-da-da-da-da. It's like, you have no idea who I am, and, like, fuck off. And, like, then I go and check you out, and you're like a little white boy in a tie-dye hoodie, you know, which is, again, do your thing, but not a good idea to mess with a strong woman who's already a minority and at a disadvantage, I think that I'm not, to be honest, I'm not really sure what advice I have for female artists and musicians. That's like, I feel like female musicians and especially rappers and hip hop artists need to just like not listen to these man babies, and not give power to their stuff, because I think what the music industry really needs, and what music and art needs, is creations that that genuinely have not existed before, or in perspectives and words and stories that are new and fresh and aren't these like regurgitated, things over and over and over and over. And that's going to take strength, that's going to take risk, that's going to take people being like, stop and shut up, and like, your art isn't even good quality. And that's all up to debate. That's all, people's perspectives. And you can't control or change that. You can't actually, control how someone perceives and experiences your art. At the same time, you really should remain confident in what you're doing at all times. And you should defend it. And if someone beats you down, or if it's just some lame dude, these man babies who think they're like gods, or think that it's like all love, really believe they're like, it's all love. I'm like, bullshit. It's not all love. And a lot of these dudes even like talk about each other behind their backs, and just like, we'll have secret group chats, no girls allowed, and are just like talking smack, form another group chat, talk smack. And it all comes down to fear. It all comes down to your intentions. It all comes down to the root of like, what is your intention? How do you love yourself? Do you have confidence in yourself? Do you believe in your art? Or do you just like want to cause disruption? And do you just want to spew hate and you, this is it. It's like, that's not art. Art isn't apologizing for your creation. Art is making something new that the world hasn't seen, and being like, this is the shit. And like, if you're female and you do that, and that's what I try and do, people are gonna be like, girl, no, stop. Really? Like, no. Then you just have to keep creating. You have to keep believing in your art. And if you're a music producer like myself, and you create something and it's literally an entire new genre that the world hasn't heard, you're on to something. Keep at it. Don't doubt it. Don't be like, put it out there, rock it. Because at some point you're going to make something again that has evolved past that, or that has worked upon itself, or that creation teaches you something else that you need, or this leads to that. Stay in your now and keep moving forward. But to the guys in the music industry, if you don't support female artists, if you're not down with female rappers and female producers and sound engineers and visual artists and graphic designers and film directors and music video film directors and poets and writers and authors, I mean, like, dudes, it goes farther than the music industry. And even if you're a gay guy, heck, even if you're a non-binary guy and you carry on this like arrogant male, very patriarchy, just dare I use the word toxic masculinity, but like, if you carry that on, expecting something different, expecting that like, this is how things are and this works and this is fine, you've got it all wrong. You can't completely ignore an entire demographic of artists. And that's what continues to go on. Female musicians, artists, rappers, we just like, and then once we feel that, we start doing weird things. We start getting in the bathtub all naked and stuff and doing weird things, and like, here I am in my way, because people are gonna be like, because it draws you in a world that just won't accept you for how you actually are. It's not allowed. So I just hope that everyone just thinks about the fact that we have so many guys in the music industry, and we need more women. And we also need women that are strong, that will stand up to men, that will stand up to the patriarchy. And we need women that aren't going to enable other women's weaknesses. We need women that aren't going to enable women who are making music that they're not confident in. Like, quit bullshitting with the retweet, like shit. Like, art isn't about getting validation through the internet. You feel me? It's not about creating something and then only doing that, or just kind of like spending more energy and time thinking about like your audience on the internet, or if people will approve of it or not, or will I be misinterpreted? Like, fuck that. You can't control that. And furthermore, the whole like patriarchy bullshit that completely ignores us, like completely ignores and deprives an entire demographic, which is huge. That's like basically breaking the law. You know, you're just, that's what that cycle wants. I mean, the whole like patriarchal male music industry is just like, gotta get to 20,000 likes, bro, and like better reshare, and like, you know, bro, I got verified, and like, it was awesome, and dude, like, I know so-and-so, and we're gonna go out, and like, man, we're all gonna rise up. Like, it's like great, but like, when you look around, it's like all dudes. And then they're like, it's all love. And it's like, well, how am I, like, I'm the only woman in the room. How is it all love? And I also just, you know, I've gone on and on a little bit about the things that piss me off. But I do want to say that there are a lot of guys in the music industry that do support women, and that are badass, and are cool, and are making art that moves people and inspires people, and are making art that isn't just raps that's like, bitch, you're a hoe, get on your knees, honey, please, you know, that are making meaningful music that's more conscious. Or, you know, even if they do make music like that, genuinely respect women, and that's part of their stage presence and their act, and that's part of how they lyrically express themselves and cope with the world. And there are guys out there who do support me. Oh my gosh. And you all know who you are. Trust me. This isn't about you guys. But if you are a male producer or male rapper, you're a musician, please use your power wisely. You know, like, you know, if you find yourself out with your buddies and you all make music, like, look around. Are there any females with you guys that also make music? And if they're not, maybe like a network. Maybe try and like, I don't know, find a friend who's a female musician, so it's not just like a little boys club at all times. And, you know, if that's not the case, and you're more the type of person who makes music in your room and you're not as, you know, social, that's okay. Just remember, you still have a power there, especially online, if you do that, if you do social media, where you can support and lift up female voices and artists. And defend them, and defend us online when like lame, weird dudes that are like, no, attack us, or like gang up, or like do weird passive aggressive things verbally. Defend your ladies. Like, if you guys say you're all about, you know, you love your ladies, blah, 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 like, do that with your actions. Because, you know, you don't know. There's no way you can know what a female musician is going through if that's not you, that's not who you are. And, you know, I can make something amazing. I can make a beautiful song. I can write lyrics that are like fucking badass. But I'm always going to come back to this like non-consensual male created like, prove yourself. And just the world being like, yeah, prove yourself. Do you have clout? Yeah. Like, do you, who are you? Never even heard of your name. And it should be more an environment of, you created something, this is awesome, great, keep making stuff. Like, okay, it might not be the best quality now, and I'm thinking that, but I'm gonna support it. I'm gonna be like encouraging and keep doing this. This is great. You know, like, wow, you're the only female rapper in this town I know. Fucking badass, I'm gonna rock this. We need to deconstruct the double standards. If you think, you know, if you're a male musician and you think you wouldn't do that to like a guy, don't do it to a female. You feel me? So I think that kind of sums up how I've been feeling, what I'm thinking about a little bit today. Thank you for watching, and I hope you appreciated my wig. I love you all so much, except for the sexist mofos out there who harass me online or think I'm a nobody. Ho, because you guys suck.